I wasn't supposed to be in the house. Not because it was dangerous, but because it wasn't finished deciding what it was yet. And the moment I stepped inside, it started counting me, cataloging me. And that's when I realized it wouldn't let me go so easily. Today's story is entitled The Condemned House That Counted Its Rooms. And it was posted to the r/nosleep subreddit by Door Count Wrong. Hello everybody, I'm Cece, with the Crucible of Character. I really appreciate all the support I've gotten on all my recent videos. I really do appreciate all the likes and the subscribers. It means the world to me. I really do want to make this something, and I know that with your help I can. So please, as always, keep an eye out for the lesson of today's video, and so we can compare notes and see if we got the same one at the end. And with that, the story. I wasn't supposed to be in the house, because it wasn't a house yet. That's what the sign said. Unsafe, condemned, entry prohibited. The city seal was faded, the tape peeled back by weather, but the message was clear enough that I would have listened if I had been thinking normally. The problem was that I wasn't. I was walking home after missing the last bus, cutting through a residential block that was half empty from foreclosures. Most of the houses were dark, gutted, waiting to be flipped or torn down. The place felt paused, like a thought interrupted. That's when I noticed the porch light. Only one house had power, a soft yellow glow spilling onto the steps, curtains drawn, but not tightly, just enough to imply someone cared. I stood there longer than I meant to. The door was unlocked. I know what that implies about curiosity and responsibility. But the thing that convinced me wasn't the door itself. It was the temperature. Warm air drifted out, carrying that faint smell of old wood and dust. The kind of smell that means someone's been inside recently. I stepped in and closed the door behind me. The house was quiet, but not empty. The floors creaked in a lived-in way, not the sharp complaint of neglected wood. The walls were bare, yet clean, no graffiti, no rot, no obvious damage. The first room I entered was the living room. It had furniture. Not much, just a couch, a side table, a lamp that was turned on, casting a soft cone of light. Everything looked staged, like someone had recreated the idea of a home without committing to details. I told myself I'd just warm up and then leave. The hallway was longer than it should have been. That's the detail that stuck. Houses like this don't have space to spare. But the hallway stretched, branching into doors on both sides. Each door was closed, each one identical. I opened the first, empty bedroom, no windows, just bare walls and clean floor. The second was the same. By the fourth door, I noticed something wrong. The doors were numbered, small brass plaques screwed in at about eye level. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I hadn't noticed them at first because the numbers weren't important yet. Door 5 opened into a bathroom. The mirror fogged slightly, and as soon as I stepped inside, even though the room was cold, I wiped it with my sleeve and froze. The reflection didn't move with me. It lagged, just a fraction of a second, but enough to make me feel weird. I backed out slowly and closed the door. The hallway lights flickered. Then, they steadied. And as I looked around, I noticed there was more doors. Numbers climbing higher now, 12, 13, and 14 had appeared. I hadn't walked that far. The house didn't feel hostile. That was the unsettling part. It felt attentive, like it had noticed me and was deciding still what to do with me. I tried the front door, but it was locked. No deadbolt, no chain, just locked, as if it had always been that way. The hallway narrowed subtly as I walked, walls inching closer together. The carpet muffled my steps too well, swallowing sound in a way that made my ears ring. I started opening doors at random. Some rooms weren't empty. Some weren't. One contained a dining table set for a meal that had never happened. Another held a child's bedroom with drawings taped neatly to the walls. Every drawing was of the same house, drawn from slightly different angles. The numbers climbed. 28, 29, 30. My chest tightened. I stopped counting after that. I began to hear movement. Not footsteps, but the sound of wood adjusting, settling, breathing. The door ahead of me was already open. Inside was a room that matched the one I had entered first. A living room. Couch. Lamp. But the lamp was off. On the coffee table sat my phone. I hadn't dropped it. But as I saw it, the screen lit up on its own. A notification had appeared. Not from any app I had recognized. Room count acceptable. Occupant detected. I ran. The hallway bent, curving gently, guiding me back towards the front of the house, whether I wanted to go or not. Doors slid shut behind me without a sound. The numbers disappeared. When I reached the front door, it was open. Cold night air rushed in. I didn't hesitate. I stumbled onto the porch and turned back. The house was dark now. No porch light, no warmth. The windows were boarded up, paint peeling exactly like the others on the block. The sign hung crooked where it had always been. Condemned. I didn't go home that way again. Weeks passed, then months. I almost convinced myself it had been exhaustion, or a hallucination of some sort. That was until yesterday, when I walked past a different condemned house and noticed something new screwed beside the door. A small brass plaque with a number. The end. I like that story a lot. I like how we don't really know much about the antagonizing force. We don't know if it was one house, if it was kind of a overarching presence over all these condemned houses, whether it moved in before or after the house was condemned, of course. I like to think after. Otherwise, some random city inspector is still wandering around in there. So, let's get started with the psychology. So, try and think about what would you feel like if you're wandering around in this house, just trying to figure it out, and you notice that every time the lights flicker, there's a longer hallway. And seemingly there's no windows in these bedrooms, which, if it's an above-ground bedroom and it doesn't have a window, that's super weird. And frankly, to me, that would be scary. And that was one of the things that allowed me to try and identify the lesson that I got from today. But before we go to that, a little bit more on psychology. I'd feel super scared in this situation. Again, this is kind of one of those situations, a lot like these past few stories, where you think you know what you're doing. You think you know the rules of where you are. And then suddenly the rules are ripped out from you, the control is ripped out from you, and you realize very quickly you don't know. You don't know what to do. You don't know what is coming next. You don't have any control. You don't even know what the rules are anymore. If the building can just get bigger, maybe there's some kind of a monster here, or something from another world or a different reality, whatever it is. There are no rules anymore. Basically, and this goes into the lesson that I got from today's story, which is learn to live your life to the fullest. Learn to make and keep and follow through with your own set of rules before you have to deal with somebody else's. Learn to take advantage of what you have before somebody takes advantage of you. I kind of thought of this as, well, there's somebody who is, pretty sure of themselves. Somebody who's, oh yeah, I'm just going to go exploring and this and that. And then the door is closed and it's locked and you just lost some control because of your choices. Then you keep going further and keep going further. You notice there's no windows. And at that point, I know that I'm not, the strongest human being on earth, but I could sure punch through some drywall if I wanted to. Or whatever the walls are made out of. I could find something to break a wall open, go around the studs, or in between the studs, and break a hole through the outside of the house. If it's condemned already, I don't think anybody would bother if I was trapped in this house, thinking there's maybe some killer or something in there trying to keep me in there, and I just busted through the wall to get out. I think too often we get tunnel vision and we say, okay, the only way out is through. But a lot of times the only way out is to not play the game, or to make your own rules, or to take the rules that have been provided and make a new answer that's not normal. So I think, with all that being said, that's the lesson for today. Learn to not have that tunnel vision when you're stuck. because truly you're never stuck. But if you're just kind of waiting for somebody to come save you instead of saving yourself, yeah, you're probably going to keep that tunnel vision. Yeah, you're probably going to keep walking down that hallway and not understanding what you need to do next. So please, the next time you're stuck, the next time you feel as though you have no control, take control. Be that guy or that lady and do it. Once you realize that you have got to be the one that saves you, you've got to be the one that does it, you've got to be the one that sends in that job application or that school application or whatever else, you're going to get a whole lot more done in your life. I can promise you that. So with that, did you get a different lesson? What would you have done differently in this story? Please, let me know these things down in the comments below. And as always, if you liked today's episode and you'd like to see more, you'd like to see more of these cool stories and analysis and psychology and lessons, please subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's episode. And with that, once again, I'm Cece. I love you all. Goodbye.